Hey everybody, welcome back to Soul School. Now we're actually honored with the presence of another band member from the Byrd tribute band. And for those who may not know, Byrd passed away in February, and actually one of the greatest cats of all time in reference to music, trumpet, arranger, aviation pilot, actually TV show themes, whatever you want to talk about. But I've actually had the pleasure of sitting up talking with this man in the hallway, and actually my mind was blown because we were talking about some funk stuff. We're talking about James Brown, Give It Up, Turn It Loose. And anyway, without further ado, please welcome to the show, Charles Faring, man. What's, man? You blew, man. You talking about Jimmy Nolan's guitar, man. You got to show, you got to share this story over there before we get to what we get to, man.
Well, I mean, you know, Curtis Nolan is Jimmy Nolan's son, and we were coming up playing guitar together in bands.
Okay. And for those who may not know, Jimmy Nolan was James Brown's principal, greatest guitar player of all time.
And so I go to his house, and his dad's guitar is sitting up in the room, the guitar that I had seen for years, the guitar that played on all of the James Brown's records. Jimmy Nolan's guitar is sitting there. So I got to hold Jimmy Nolan's guitar. To me, that was equal to Jimi Hendrix, because I got to hold on Jimi Hendrix's guitar. But James Brown was the band that I wanted to emulate, because it was just, you know, James Brown.
Now, I know we're here for the Byrd tribute. Well, I heard it tonight. That's what kind of got us on this whole wavelength. You know, for Rock Creek Park, it has like a Give It Up, Turn It Loose feel for those who may not know. And man, you like locked into it, and that's what made me approach you, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
I just, wow. Like I said, I know we're here for Byrd, but you brought the funk tonight, man.
Thank you.
The rhythm section was really, really locked. Even on the acoustic stuff, a lot of the Byrd stuff that I grew up listening to, because I come from a family of jazz snobs, was like a lot of the early stuff like Royal Flush or Blackjack, right. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Slow Drag and stuff like that or whatever. So how does it feel for you to actually be in a band trying to keep this legacy going?
Well, it feels incredible because for me, I have had the fortune to play with a lot of giants and to be taught by a lot of giants. And Kevin and I go way back doing sessions and everything, and you know, we're engaged in doing film projects together. So it's just a natural for us to come together to pay tribute to somebody who just was a giver. Not a taker, but a giver. And he can live on through this music. And I think for the younger kids to be able to hear it and to be able to see it being played for real, you know, music on the stands and, you know, how that's addressed. You know, not sampling.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know?
Oh no, I can definitely dig it, man. Because that's you know, we're all about music education, so that's what this is about anyway. And are you based out of Southern California? I'm just curious.
Yes, I am. I live in Long Beach, the LBC.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, like I said, I lived down there for a little while in regular LA. Like I lived off of 9th and Jefferson. So
okay.
That was you know not too far from where.
It's like mid city almost.
Yeah, almost where the May Company used to be over there.
On Fairfax.
Right.
I got
When
you.
VIP Records was up on I think Washington. You know?
Right.
Man, the good old days, man. Now you were telling me that you actually did some production with DeBarge, actually.
Yes. Well, actually, you know what happened? I had played on DeBarge's previous 2 records, you know. Then Benjamin Wright, excuse me.
Oh, man, I met him at NAMM.
Okay.
I didn't realize that dude was that bad.
Oh, no.
Another story.
Now, Benjamin Wright, I don't even call him Ben. I call him Dad. So he knew I was trying to get into arranging and everything. So he says, look, man, I got this project for you, but it's not paying any money. You know El DeBarge? I said, yeah. So he says, come meet El DeBarge at my house. So El comes over to the house, and he plays me All This Love. I said, El, this is one of the greatest songs that I've ever heard in my life. He says, what do you think it needs? I said, well, I'm going to put acoustic guitar on it. And I'm going to put a guitar solo in the 3rd verse. So we go to the studio. Motown's paying for it, so I'm not getting paid now. But I want to prove to them that I can blow this record up. So I put the acoustic guitar on, then I do the guitar solo. So Iris Gordy, Berry Gordy's niece, hears the guitar solo.
I do recall seeing your name on the album. The more I think about the album is Beige. And Elle didn't even have a mustache at the time. I do remember your name being on.
Right. Ooh, and I Like It, Time Will Reveal, all those records. So I do the guitar solo. Excuse me. Iris Gordy comes in and she says to me, that guitar solo, it's not happening. And I told her point blank, I said, if Ernie Isley or George Benson was to walk in this room and hear the song, this guy saying all this love is waiting for you, he's not in a rush. So Motown had just signed Jose Feliciano. So she gets Jose Feliciano to come play this guitar solo. So Benjamin Wright, Berry Gordy, and Elle DeBarge, and the late great Barney Perkins, who was the engineer, were mixing All This Love up in Dawn. That was the mix studio up in Motown, Mo West. I get a call at what I call no o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Fearing, that guitar solo is incredible. I'm like, who is this?
That sounds like Berry Gordy.
It's Barry. I'm like,
you actually have his voice down, like laughing because you sound like him.
So Ben gets on the phone. He says, my middle name is Julian. He says, Julian, you out Jose. I'm like, what are you talking about? Listen, man. He says, here's what happened. They're mixing the record. So they kept my acoustic part. But when they get to the solo part, they have Jose's part. Barry Gordy's like, man, that solo's not happening. So Barney says, well, Charles Julian did the solo on track 1 and 2. He said, that's it. Period. That's it. And so I told Iris, I said, Iris, don't you ever tell me. Because, come on, man. You told me that your relative played with Barry White. So, and I had the fortune to experience that when I was
Willie C struck you guys.
Yes.
First cousin.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So this is what music is about, you know what I'm saying? And for my journey, it's been a great journey. You know what I'm saying? And it still goes on. I mean, I've got many stories. One story I want to tell you about is really funny. Michael Jackson did the halftime Super Bowl, right? So he calls me up. He says, hey, Charles, I need you to go down to Larrabee North and do the rock solos, because I had just done some rock stuff for he and Quincy. And, because Jennifer's out of town and I need you, I know you can knock it out. I said, okay. So I go to Larrabee North and I walk into the room and the guys are bringing the equipment in. The guy says, oh, great, the guitar player's gear is here. I said, no, I'm the guitarist. He says, oh no, the funk stuff we're doing is down the hall. I said, well, no, the rock stuff for the halftime. I said, Michael called me. Oh, it's gotta be a mistake. So the engineer, Bill Cottrell, is like, dude, this cat is one of the most versatile guys on the planet. So I'd heard the song. I told him, I said, look, let me tell you what. I'm gonna play this song first take, no mistakes. He says, okay, I'd love to see that. I hooked up my rock guitar, first take, no mistakes, the whole Van Halen thing. Then I had to give him a history on rock and roll music. I said, do you know how the guitar became distorted? Because black churches couldn't afford the organ, so they had guitars. They were using pedal steel or lap steel guitars, and they turned the volume up on the amp and discovered distortion and sustain. That's how that happened. So let's get a history. So it's not about being white, black, or if you can do this, if you can do that. Because Willie playing with Barry White, some of the stuff we had to do was classical. So you have to have an ear to play with Barry White. Willie
couldn't read.
Yeah. But Willie could hear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They all admired me because I could read.
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? But I come from a family of musicians. My mother was a mezzo-soprano for the LA Philharmonic, and my uncle played with Count Basie, and that kind of thing. But still, Willie was able to handle that gig to the point where he could count the bars, he could read chord symbols. It was an education. You see what I'm saying? This is what's lacking now. Kids, it's almost like you going to McDonald's and ordering some food. You know what I'm saying? You instant. But then they want to do what took somebody 20 years to be able to do. There's work involved. It's like what you're doing now. You have the ability to have a show, to put it on. Now, when I was your age, I wasn't even thinking like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I come from a family of jazz snobs, man,
Yeah.
as an older brother, so
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Yeah, but I'm talking about because of where it is now. There are no limits.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You're bold enough to say, we're going to go do this. All it takes is the right person, and you're off and running.
Man, this is the first time I've actually done a show in 18 years where I'm speechless. When you start talking about all this love, I really want to just kind of just be quiet and just kind of just let you talk and just let the Charles Farron show, because as you were talking, it was all coming back to me in high school. I remember some of the different people like Polino DeCosta and people's different names and stuff that I heard, and I'm sitting up here and I'm like speechless. I'm like totally speechless. When you're doing Barry Gordy, man, you may have missed your calling because you're real good at stand-up. As soon as you said it, before you said it, it was Barry's voice.
Right.
So, and the same thing like when he was playing guitar up on Rock Creek Park, that James Brown thing, I was like, Jimmy, no. You become what it is that you're doing, and I think that's probably like the most priceless gift you could possibly have, man. Thank you for coming on, and more important than teaching these kids, thank you for teaching me.
Oh, brother, what I call this is a fair exchange.
It's almost unfair, man, because I'm sitting up here, I'm gated, man.
No, man,
I'm gated. This is beautiful, beautiful. Let's get to some more entertainment. Matter of fact, let's get into a little bit of DeBarge. And we'll be back